If somebody was asking me for advice, okay, I would say there's nothing exactly that can prepare you for this journey, but arm yourself as much as possible with knowledge of the resources available, because when you're in the moment, you're so distracted and so overcome. Take advantage of the material now.
Hello, I'm Fran Guasta-Desaigny. Welcome to Mature Living. Did you know that Fairfax County has a whole team dedicated to providing programs, resources, and information for older adults, adults with disabilities, and family caregivers? This team is part of the Department of Family Services Adult and Aging Division, and they work to make Fairfax County a place where older adults can live safely and independently and grow older with dignity. Today we are joined by Jantzi and Beth Margetta, both Assistant Program Managers from the Fairfax Area Agency on Aging. They will tell us about this agency and what it offers to the residents of Fairfax County and the cities of Fairfax and Falls Church. What is an Area Agency on Aging? I mean, is this something that's only in Fairfax? Is it throughout the country? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, that's a great question, Fran. So Area Agencies on Aging, or AAAs, are not unique to the Fairfax area. They were established under the Older Americans Act in 1973, actually, and they're in every local community. So not just here, they're all around the country. And they are responsible for planning, developing, and implementing services, long-term services and supports for adults 60 and over that are eligible in the community.
So Katie, tell me a little bit about the programs that are offered by the Area Agency on Aging.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to be able to share just even a few examples of programs. We have a congregate nutrition program that provides nutritious meals to people who are attending senior centers or adult day health care centers. Another fantastic program we have is our long-term care ombudsman program. This is a program that helps people make very informed decisions about long-term care, like nursing home facilities or assisted living facilities, as well as really advocate and address concerns or complaints about quality of care that come up for those facilities. We have a program called the Virginia Insurance Counseling and Assistance Program. It's often known as VICAP. And this is a program that provides education, but also direct, confidential, and confidential counseling for individuals who are receiving Medicare, who are either about to be eligible or already receiving the benefits and the options. We have fall prevention workshops. We have chronic disease self-management programs that address issues like diabetes and chronic pain, help people live independently in their homes. And we also have wonderful family caregiver programs. These are for people who are caring for loved ones near or far, family, friends, or neighbors. And they include programs such as monthly free virtual webinars that feature fantastic speakers on a variety of topics, monthly web letters that come directly to people's emails, provide resources and information about events. We have what I think to be a very innovative program called our Caregiver Alert Notification System, where people can sign up to receive texts or emails directly weekly, so caregivers know while they're on the run, really timely information about resources that are available to them. We also have caregiver support groups, we have support calls, we have free caregiver consultations, as well as respite services and some case management.
So many programs. So my question to you is, how do you operate all these programs? Do you have staff to do it? Do you have volunteers? How does that all happen?
Yeah, what a great question. We have a wonderful team of staff at the Area Agency on Aging, truly talented individuals who are really dedicated to this work. However, we also have a wonderful volunteer program, so if people are interested, they should certainly reach out to us. There are wonderful opportunities to engage with most of these programs.
So one more question, Katie, because I want to make sure that we really delve deep into this. Let's talk about eligibility. Does a resident have to fulfill a specific criteria to partake?
The programs provided through the Area Agency on Aging are targeted to older adults, so people age 60 and above, and individuals with disabilities who are at the greatest social and economic need. All of the programs, though, within the Area Agency on Aging may have slightly different eligibility requirements. It might change from program to program. And some of them also require that a person is already receiving services through the Adult and Aging Division in the Department of Family Services.
How do people get started? Is it better to just go on the web and do an initial search? Do they just call the number and then go from there? Or maybe they hear about it from other sources like senior centers?
Yeah, if someone is in need of services, they can call us directly. We have a phone intake line. It's our Aging, Disability, and Caregiver Resource Line. That phone number is 703-324-7948. And when a person calls, they reach a real live person. And so the caller then can speak with that person about what resources are available, what's appropriate for them, what they might be eligible for. It's a person-centered approach, so we can really help someone on the right path to finding the services they need.
Is it a 24-hour number, or is it within a certain time frame?
It's Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, and some of the things they might learn about are the Area Agency on Aging programs. They might learn about programs from our larger Adult and Aging Division, as well as community resources.
So much.
And to your earlier point about the website, or how they could access us, if people have internet and feel comfortable, they certainly can look at our website as well. There's wonderful information there. They can learn about different types of resources. However, we don't want there to be any barriers to people reaching us or to accessing us. So we really encourage people to call that intake line directly.
I'm going to throw you a curveball. What happens if somebody calls and they're not a native English speaker? Do you have provisions to handle clients like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There are a large number of languages spoke throughout Fairfax County. And so when a person calls, no matter what their language is, either we have someone on staff who can respond directly to them, or we have a phone line that we can use to contact an interpreter. So we don't ever want language to be a barrier to services.
Excellent. So the older adult population is continuing to grow, not only just across the country, but especially here in Fairfax County. So what is the Adult and Aging Division doing to prepare for this increase in our older adult population?
I can tell you that part of the work that I do is tied to the Shape the Future of Aging plan, our strategic plan for aging in Fairfax County. And as part of that work, we're developing initiatives to address the needs of older adults in the community now, but for the future as well. So with that in mind, you know, part of what we learned as the plan was being developed through our community input phase was that a theme that came through is that there are a wide array of services available to adults in the community, but awareness is low. So knowing that, we have built initiatives around increasing awareness of services. One of our early initiatives has been tied to a market research and awareness campaign in Fairfax County. We want to make sure that people know about us before they need us. So it's so important, and that's one of our target areas that we're really looking to work on, improving awareness.
We see requests for services all across the board, whether it be for food and nutrition, whether it be for caregiver services, whether it be for resources in the home, like home care. We see requests for all of these services come through.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you all are doing such an important job, really an important job. So I'm going to start with, I want to ask each of you, you're passionate about what you do. So Beth Ann, let me ask you first, how does your work impact you? Because this is really important work that you do.
It is really important, and thank you for the question. I can tell you I have worked for the Fairfax Area Agency on Aging for over 15 years, and I do feel it to be such a privilege, and particularly in the work that I'm doing through the strategic planning, I get to see the connections that are forming between county, and nonprofits, and seeing many people come together with a goal of building sustainable programs. And it gives me comfort to know that these connections are happening and they are sustainable and they will be there for my family someday. So I really feel so grateful to be a part of that.
You have been a part of it, absolutely. How gratifying. Katie, how about you?
Yeah, through this work, I have learned the wonderful lesson that we are all aging and that it is truly a wonderful thing to have the ability to grow old, to have the chance to grow old. And the programs that we've talked about often fly under the radar, but as Beth Ann said, they are effective, they are impactful, they really make a difference for people as they age in the community, and they are resources that will be there to support all of us as we grow older in the county.
With the last minute and a half or so that we have left, do you have any stories of clients that have been helped and their reaction to the resources that they have found through your agency?
Through our home delivered meal program, we often hear stories about people who were struggling to figure out ways to stay in their home because food and nutrition is such an essential component of being independent, of being healthy. And so recently we heard of a story of a married couple. The wife had passed away. She did much of the caregiving. You know, she prepared meals. She helped get that part of keep that part of their life together. And because of home delivered meals, being able to deliver those meals directly to the gentleman, he was able to, along with some other resources, able to stay independent and stay in his home instead of having to move to somewhere with more care.
So important, yeah, because that's what, I know that in my own family, my parents wanted to stay in their home. My in-laws wanted to stay in their home, and we were very blessed with the fact that they were able to. They had to bring in some in-home care, but that is very, very important to be able to maintain that sense of independence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you both for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank
you
you
for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Later in the show, we'll hear more about the programs and services offered by the Adult and Aging Division. But first, we'll hear from Mary O'Sullivan. She's a resident who has benefited from webinars and other resources that are offered through the Area Agency on Aging. This provided her much needed support in her journey as a caregiver.
My husband was officially diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in September of 2017, and we were greatly supported by the military healthcare system. In September of 2020, so 3 years later, the military healthcare system put us in touch with the Alzheimer's Association. They had the association, the local chapter, contact me. And we had a very good conversation. This was in the midst of the pandemic, if you recall. It was very isolating during that time, and it was wonderful to talk to someone. I went on their website, and they did have support groups, but they only met once a month or so, and they had limited attendance, even with Zoom, and it just really was not quite enough for me. I was looking for a little more support. So I thought, well, I live in Fairfax County. Let me go see what Fairfax County might have. We had already used it to request absentee ballots during the pandemic, so I was already familiar with the variety of resources that Fairfax County offered, but I really had not until 2020 looked about resources for aging. And so I just did some research, and then it was like opening Pandora's box. It was really wonderful, the wide variety of things. The two links that I used the most were the caregiver support services, and then the older adult services page. I really took advantage of the webinars that were already existing and then signed up for many additional webinars, but I also used the older adult resources page and found that they had wonderful lists of caregivers who were available for respite care, because during that time, although my husband was really quite well functioning, Sometimes you just need a break. It was invaluable to see what was available. So I found it was very helpful. I have told other people that it was hard for me to reach out because I always considered myself a very capable person, and that it wasn't that I didn't need help. I knew already that many times in my life I needed help. But to admit that this is a journey that I needed someone else to hold my hand, and that the feelings and the emotions that I experienced were very common and many other caregivers experience them, that was rewarding. And to find people, support groups, people whose family members were at the Insight Center, to meet other folks who are on the journey. And you cannot make this journey by yourself. It's a very isolating journey, and you need support and assistance from family, from friends, but also from professionals as well.
In our first segment, we talked with Beth Margetta and Katie Jantzi, Assistant Program Managers with the Fairfax Area Agency on Aging. They spoke about the variety of programs and services this agency offers. We also heard from a resident who benefited from the various webinars and resources that are available through this agency. We are now joined by Jonathan Bell, Supervisor for Adult Services, and Julie So, Supervisor for Adult Protective Services. They also work in the Adult and Aging Division, and are here to tell us about the additional programs and services available from this agency. Thank you both for joining us.
Great to be here.
Thank you.
So, Jonathan, I'm going to direct the first question to you. Shape the Future of Aging plan. We know what it is, but for those who may not know, can you give us just a quick overview? Because I know that it really is designed to help older adults live independently and, in their own home, but there may be other seniors that may need a little bit of help. So tell us about how the Shape the Future of Aging plan, how it all comes into play.
Sure. So the Shape the Future of Aging plan is a strategic plan that the county has put in place, is enacting. There are committees made up, in fact, primarily of older adults who are informing the county on how to address the needs of a growing population of older adults in our community. So this is around housing, around services, access to those things. That's what the Shape the Future of Aging plan is about.
Excellent. Really helping our older adults live with dignity and independently.
Absolutely. And really at the heart of the Shape the Future of Aging plan is the county's commitment to equity, recognizing that we live in a diverse community, but that services need to be tailored to the individual. And that's really our focus in the Adult and Aging Division, that the services we provide are person-centered. For instance, folks living in their home may be eligible to receive services through our home-based care program, where they could receive services such as laundry, light housekeeping, so they can continue to age in place. Folks who are maybe at a higher level of care, something like a nursing level of care, can also receive care in the home through the state's Long-Term Services and Supports Waiver program. And our social workers, case managers who come out into the field would do an assessment, would help folks understand what level of care would be appropriate for them to meet their needs. And if it's not one of those programs, it's connection to other county agencies, other community-based organizations that can provide support with transportation, with financial support, with behavioral health services, supports that individuals, their families, caregivers need in order to, as you said, live with dignity, age in place, remain in their homes.
And I'm glad that you brought that equity piece in there. That's a very important component. So what happens if there's an older adult who needs some extra support at home? All right, is there a phone number that they call? And is there a prerequisite about these services can be provided, but these can't? I'm not really sure. And that's a big question.
Absolutely, and that's a question that we get all of the time. Our Aging, Disability, and Caregiver Resources line is really our front door to adult and aging services. It's staffed by really knowledgeable, talented social workers. We're talking to social workers on the phone who are very aware of what county resources exist. So the first step, you don't have to figure out what services you need. It would certainly just be a call to that line, and that social worker is going to help you unpack what the need is and how to make that connection to services that exist in the community.
All right, so that's a first call, and then you all assist from there.
Absolutely.
Excellent, thank you. Julie, let me bring you into the conversation. And I understand that your work is really centered on adult protective services, and that's a big topic here. Can you explain what it is that does and how you operate within the community?
Adult Protective Service is a state-mandated and locally administered program. We provide a service to adults 60 years of older, and also adults under 60 with a disability that affects a person's decision-making capacity. The main goal of APS is preventing and protecting adults from adult abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And we initiate investigation by gathering information and also just doing fact-checking to just see the whole picture. The APS really value personal choices, their belief, and we try to just kind of providing services in a restrictive way if possible. The two-prong of adult protective services to offer to community is one is investigation about reported allegation of adult abuse and neglect and exploitation. And the other is a case management service to clients. If a case is substantiated and client is consenting, then we can provide ongoing service to the community.
So Julie, how do people end up on your radar? And is it anonymous? People that feel that they're being in danger, are they the ones that call? Are loved ones that are watching their loved ones, do they call? And again, is there anonymity there? I don't understand how that all works, and maybe you could share.
Sure. It can be anyone, but obviously, person who is not really willing to or not really comfortable to sharing their identity, it can be anonymous report, but basically anyone can making a report, including self and family member, and even neighbors and doctors. It can be community, just a service provider. So anyone can making a report, but the reporter's identity will be protected. Basically, even though we are investigating, we're not really disclosing identity of the reporters unless there's a court order or the person who is reporting wanna be permitting to just disclosing his or her name.
Okay, so it's entirely their choice if they want to remain anonymous,
Right.
or that's okay to use their name if they're making a report on a loved one or what have you. All right, so that's good. Thank you for that.
We also have a front door. Jonathan just mentioned about ADCR.
Okay.
We have a intake line, and wonderful folks just helping to get that report, the APS report, when they providing services like resource and information. So we take the case through them too, and also we do have a APS hotline. So folks can definitely call hotline or local Department of Social Services, which is ADCR line.
Lots of ways to get in touch to get the help that is needed. So as our adult population grows, and we had mentioned that earlier in the show, people are going to be seeking information. And so again, I just want to reiterate the one-stop shop. If they just call the ADCR line, then that's a good place to start. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We say no wrong door. So calling that intake line, that aging, disability, and caregiver resources line. If adult and aging maybe doesn't have the right service, that's all right. We'll connect you to a county service or a service in the community that would address the needs that you're calling about.
And what about for our more tech-savvy seniors? What about exploring website? Where would they start with regard to, because once you get into the website, boy, there's so many options. So what would you recommend with regard to that?
If you go to fairfaxcounty.gov, you can just search older adults in the top search bar, and that'll take you to the older adults, adult and aging webpage.
Okay. You both do such important work, and I know that it resonates with you. So I'm going to ask you, Julie, tell us about how your work resonates with you, because it's very important work that you do.
Sure. My social work journey actually started from working from home care agency, working as a coordinator. I was actually helping one of the gentlemen coming from different country, and I realized that how much resource that this gentleman needed was just a kind of eye-opening experience for me. That was the journey that I took more than 15 years ago. And obviously, working with the Fairfax County, I really appreciate this privilege of working and serving the community. And, especially with the APS teams, I see that, little bit of an incremental change in clients' life just to make me going. This is a really rewarding working experience. And I do really appreciate all this change and all the support that we are getting from the agency as well.
It must be so gratifying for both of you to see those wins along the way with the clients that you are helping. Tell me about how your work resonates with you.
Yeah, sure. I think all of my colleagues at Adult and Aging would say there's a personal connection to this work, and that's certainly the case for me as well. Caring for my mother who had Alzheimer's, the caregiving journey that my father went through. There's a personal connection to the work, and we work in this community. This is our community as well. So we want to see people be successful and thrive in the community that we live in.
As we wrap up the conversation, we've covered a lot of ground, but is there anything else that maybe we haven't spoken about that you want to share with our viewers?
Sure, I'll just mention one program. We've talked a lot about services in the home, and also affordable housing is a big issue, maybe particularly for older adults. And we have a program called the Adult Foster Care Program, which offers an affordable housing scenario with care in the comfort of providers' homes. So these are private citizens who are opening their homes, opening their hearts to provide care to older adults through affordable means. So certainly there's plenty of services can be provided in folks' homes, but that's not always appropriate for folks, and so having maybe an alternative to assisted living through adult foster care is a great option.
Thank you both so much for sharing your time and your expertise with us today. A lot of good information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching this edition of Mature Living. I'm Fran Guasta-Desengi, and we'll see you next time.